Hello, hello. We're gonna check here. Just kind of want to see what the broadcast looks like. I think I'm on. Give me 2 seconds. I think I'm on. Give me 2 seconds. Cool. So my name is Michael. I also go by moonpoppy.eth. Oh, streaming from a couple different spots. Cool. So we're here to present the road to ETH Miami. I've been in talks with Andre, who's kind of spearheading this whole thing, and he wanted me to just come and talk about I guess a couple things. The title of the stream is basic front end tools. So towards the end of this, I think we'll be getting into just really setting up your machine to start developing, and then just a couple of we'll go through like some basic things of some basic popular library front end libraries like ethers and things like that, and maybe some other stuff that we use to test. So I guess maybe I should probably introduce myself. So yeah, my name is Michael Ongay, moonpoppy.eth. I've been a Web3 developer for about 8 months now. About 8 months ago, I was kind of bored at my old job. I don't come from a computer engineering or software background at all. I come from like a Web 0 job, which basically I was an environmental engineer, and I think COVID had happened, and I was able to stay out of the office for a little while, and then when things, started to open back up, they were like, "Hey, you got to get back in here," and that was something that I kind of wasn't ready to do yet. So I started kind of looking, and I started joining. This was around the time that like NFTs kind of started and things like that, right? So I wanted to learn a little bit more about the NFTs that I was buying to try to like value them, maybe. So everyone was just saying like, oh, like this NFT is on the chain. This one's not. This one's actually just a URL, or it's hosted on IPFS or something like that. It's not truly decentralized and things. And so to try to learn more about that, I started joining hackathons. I wanted to learn more about like Solidity, so I joined like the regular um, like crypto zombies and things like that. And then yes, in my first hackathon, actually, one of the sponsors was Scaffold ETH. Presenting for them was Austin Griffith of the Ethereum Foundation, and he kind of gave us like a little piecemeal of what was going on over at Scaffold. And basically, it was a learning cohort in which you complete challenges, and he basically said that if you can complete these challenges, that either I'll hire you or you'll be hireable by the industry. So I saw that, and I just ran with it. I started working on Scaffold for a little bit. I completed all the challenges, and now I'm a member of the BuidlGuild. Basically, it's kind of like this almost UBI, Universal Basic Income, like ethos project, in which Austin just kind of streams developers money in order to. He just tells you to build stuff. He's like, "Hey, build cool things," and things like that. So it was a cool way to learn. Basically, the stack is front end for JavaScript, Solidity for the back end, and like in some cases, you could supplement that with like AWS, but there's also a lot of like way more like basic uses like that. That's if you're trying to scale something. There's things like a GunDB and other things for backend stuff that are pretty cool. They help you build pretty cool apps. But basically, the idea is that Scaffold is this kind of like starter kit that has all sorts of goodies inside that you can just kind of like you can go crazy with. So that was me just learning. I got into the BuidlGuild, and so I had two jobs kind of for a while, in which I was just like developing things on the side. And then eventually a BuidlGuild member hit me up and he's like, hey, I'm working on, I'm, starting a startup and we need developers. So if you want to come hang, you're more than welcome. So yeah, he gave me a shot. And it was actually really interesting too, because I ended up using another Web3 company, Apollos, to actually figure out like things like benefits, making sure that I still had like a 401k and like things like that. So basically, Apollos allows you to uh, they basically do like kind of your payroll services. And because of the way that they're set up, what they like folks to do is, or at least the type of person that they're looking for are developers and like DAO contributors. And like the idea with that was that, hey, this DAO might have 100 contributors or something like that, let's say, and maybe there's not that much to do here, or whatever. Let's say I go work at DAO A and I'm liking it there, but then I see DAO B and I want to switch. In the traditional world, basically, what would happen is for me to switch jobs, I might lose my insurance. I have to make sure that the other company or whatever has insurance. Then I have to like do that comparison and things like that. So with Opolis, the cool thing is that my benefits like insurance and things like that stay with me, the individual, and yeah, I can go work on whatever I might like to, which is cool. It's very freeing. So yeah, that's just like a little bit about me, I guess, and like where I'm at, how I'm able to do kind of what I'm doing right now. And then I guess we could just probably get started. Let's see. Share screen. Okay. Let's do my entire screen. So that things are going to get a little funky really quick. Share. Whoa. Okay. Cool. So this is a basic scaffold build. Let's start from like step one, right? So there's a couple things that you'll need to get started with this. Here, let's take some of this down so it's less crazy. Okay, so a couple things that you'll need to get started are going to be NVM. Make sure that we have that installed. So it's basically a package manager. If you look, basically, kind of, it's right there on GitHub. It tells you kind of how to install it. So you want NVM and you want Node.js. Node.js. There's like really easy ways to download both of them. And then so from there, so we can go Node V and see that from there we can see that we have it like installed. Here, let me make it, see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so cool. Let's close that out. Let's close that out. Jeez, sorry, y'all. Let's close things out. Okay, cool. All right, so the first thing that we want to do is let's pull down a fresh scaffold repo. .com, go scaffold ETH right here. We take this code and git clone that. Okay, so it'll take a second. And I think the cool thing about scaffold, so one thing that I noticed from a lot of hackathons that I was joining was basically that a lot of folks were either looking for someone that worked with front end, or just they were kind of scared to touch it. And what I thought was really cool about scaffold is they give you like a lot of examples. So like basically like almost everything that you're trying to do is in some way, shape, or form like represented somewhere in Scaffold, whether it be like future builds or just like kind of this base template. There's kind of like an example of everything that you want to do. So maybe there's some fine tunings part of your DApp that might not work properly, but like that you might have to kind of troubleshoot on your own end. But as far as like a base kit, this has kind of got everything. So what this build starts off with is a basic kind of like dummy contract. Here, we'll get there in a second. It's a basic kind of like dummy contract that just like says like, I think it's like state your purpose or something like that in this case, is like as far as what it starts off with. And basically what Scaffold kind of has, it lets you it just lets you represent all this information. It's really neat. It's really neat. So hopefully my internet connection downloads this a little bit faster. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Let me make sure. Is there? Let me see that I have the live chat in front of me. Okay, perfect. Cool. I have the chat in front of me now. Jeez. Okay, so when I was speaking to, I just mentioned we're gonna want things like hard hat also installed on our computer. Scaffold runs tests natively, at least using hard hat. However, I know there's a lot of folks that like using Forge. Is it Forge? Hold on. That might just be like the command name. But basically, there's like two ways. So hard hat is something that we use to kind of like mimic the EVM in some cases, at least like while we're testing. And it also lets us kind of like configure and figure out what network are we deploying. Are we deploying to Ether? Are we deploying to a test net? Are we deploying to something to a different chain like Polygon? And all that kind of good stuff. And basically, with Scaffold too, also shows you some pretty basic configurations as far as those kinds of things. So we'll kind of explore. We'll take the whole way through, and then we'll get it. Okay, so let's make sure that we have it. Okay, cool. CD Scaffold ETH. That's how we're entering. We're gonna make sure that we're using the proper version of Node, because otherwise my console will yell at me. And then just let me know if you guys can't see anything well here, and I'll potentially try to figure out how I can make see if I can make words bigger on my console. Text bigger console. Command plus. There we go. I like that. Let's do it a few more times, right? Okay, so for anyone that might not have been able to see anything, the only commands that I run are node-v. That's how you check what version of Node you have. Next thing we cloned was this GitHub repo. If you just go to GitHub and you literally type in Scaffold ETH up here on the top, you'll find it. And then once it finished downloading, we used NVM used LTS. And that's just basically using the this long-term service version of Node. It's kind of like the most agreeable version. Certain packages basically aren't always supported, is the general thing there. So to start with Scaffold, let's kind of just go through right here. So we're at this part, yeah. Next, we want to yarn install. So basically what this is going to do is just kind of take us through all the packages that are found here in the packages JSON file. And these are just like, there's like 1,000,001 things here. It'd probably be a little bit too much to kind of go through each of these things one by one. Yeah. These are just basically a lot of different, like for example, Antizyme. is a really popular design library front end. Let's go. What else? Some Arbitrum stuff, some random crypto libraries and things. Not random, sorry, but crypto libraries basically that we need to get some stuff going. Yeah, so a lot of goodies in here. I highly recommend that you explore. All right, cool. So at this point now we can yarn start. Okay, cool. And that'll kind of get us started on this spot. But we want a couple things first, right? So we kind of want to mimic like an environment, right? So we have our front end right now by clicking yarn start. The next part, just moments, is, and mind you, we want to open up all our terminals from whatever folder that we have scaffold, like install that or anything like that, right? So npm use LTS. So that, and then we got yarn chain. And if we can see here, it's actually running basically like some hard hat commands actually when we're doing that. Okay, so now we have the chain listening. We basically made our own local version of the EVM. And next part is, let's go one more terminal. So typically most projects are going to have you have like 3 terminals to kind of see what's going on. Whoopsies. npm use LTS. Okay, command plus. All right, so right off the bat, let's actually go through. Let's go through this in VS Code. Open a folder, and we'll open. Perfect. We'll open scaffold ETH. Okay, cool. So this is scaffold ETH. If any of you guys are familiar with Docker or anything like that, it's also kind of set up with that as well. Some folks find that easier. This is just kind of some basic opening stuff, things that you might like, things that are set up to be ignored already are like mnemonics and like things like that, private keys, because sometimes you do actually you'll have your private keys like in here. And I'll go through that a little bit more in a second. We have a folder for hard hat. There's like a config folder in there. There's a sample.env file that usually holds like private keys and stuff like that. But this is where you'll find your contracts, any sorts of scripts that you might want to do on like deployment. Let's say you deploy something from address A and you want address B to actually be the owner of it. You can do that here. Then really what we're going to mostly be working in is the React app. This is kind of what, this is the framework for what like your app is going to look like. Then we have services and subgraphs. That's maybe a little higher end. So we might not get into that right now. But so there's a couple things that we'll do now. First off, we're going to look at this thing called yourcontract.sol. That's in the hard hat contracts file or folder. And here we say what version of Solidity that we're cool with using. We have our license. We may or may not import certain things here. And then we have this contract here, your contract. There's an event. And really it's just kind of like, what do you want to do with this thing? So that's just like a super basic contract. So now we'll hit yarn deploy, and I actually want to have this up here next to this really quick so we kind of see what happens. Yeah, deploy. Perfect. Okay, so as we can see over here on the right hand side, we deployed this your contract file, right? And then on the left hand side, we can see that our chain kind of started working, right? that not that our chain started working, but like that our chain is working rather. And we can kind of like, if we wanted to, we could, compare these addresses so that you can see it kind of right here, right off the bat. Okay, cool. So let's see what that looks like on the other end, right? So this is our app here. It has kind of like just like a regular burner wallet up here for us to use. You know what? Actually, maybe it's better that I do this from over here. Why is that not opening? There we go. Okay, cool. So, we can connect to this if we wanted to. We'll hit debug contracts. We can confirm there that our contract is deployed at this address right here. Purpose is this, and then we could basically set a new purpose if we wanted to, right? So let's say our new purpose is learning more about front end. Okay. So the cool thing is that we give you all sorts of different ways to get money, say on your local host, right? So this is our local wallet right here, this 0x3 ending in 731 address. We'll use our local faucet. We'll send it here and we'll say we want 50 Ether. Cool. And then here we can actually see everything in real time as it goes, right? See, so right here, cool stuff. I think now we could probably do it. Cool. And as we see that right here, purpose, right? So we can now kind of see there are tools available, right, that let us actually look and read through some of these some of this information that's up there on the blockchain that's like within this contract, right? So let's go. First off, let's go to dark mode because come on. And then let's now do. Let's kind of see where we're in this debug contracts tab, right? So let's move through and kind of see where we're actually at with that. First off, okay, so really think about it like an umbrella, right? Really, you're gonna want to start with this app.jsx file. This kind of has like everything, and just a disclaimer, like some of this stuff, like everything's not, it's not like best practices or whatever. Like I've definitely noticed a lot of folks kind of come in and they're like, hey, why is this here? Why is this there? This could be in its own folder, an XYZ thing or whatever. The main thing is that you see it all so you can learn, is kind of how I think about it. So going through this app.jsx file, we're just going to go kind of down the list. We have some basic things that we're importing from a design library. What we're using to actually read a lot from the blockchain is this here called ETH hooks. ETH hooks is actually super duper cool. It's a lot of like kind of in-house things that were just built to that either use ethers or different things like that to try to help us represent some of this information very easily. So like pull information like events, things like that. Basic React stuff. React Router DOM. We have some in-house components. They're all made, things to show accounts, contract, the faucet that we just used, the networks that we're using, and so on. So going down a little bit, this is probably the biggest one that you should get familiar with, Ethers. Ethers has really good documentation, and if that's not good enough, there's 1,000,001 folks on Stack Overflow that have probably been there before, right? But we also have a lot of folks in the scaffold channels and things if should you need to talk like to anybody about kind of what's going on. Going down the list right now tells us that we're deploying to localhost. We haven't really messed anything with the hard hat config. So right off the bat, everything is made to deploy to localhost, but you can deploy to other networks if you wanted to. Just going down, going down. Here, actually, let's go to debug. All right. So this debug, we can kind of see here, like okay. So let's try to do both of these next to each other at the same time, so we can kind of see. All right. So if you see over here, and if you don't quite understand what's going on, I think it's okay. It's some of these things are kind of better like hands-on, but this is kind of just kind of showing you, hey, this is where you may want to look first. So for in this case, it's the app.jsx file. So this is our menu, right? This is our menu across. It has app home, debug contracts, hints, example, mainnet die, and subgraph. What we're concerned with right now is at least our debug contracts tab. That debug contracts tab basically kind of shows you all the information that's in your contract, whether it's like extra numbers, payable, functions, or any sort of thing. Cool. So yeah, right here, this scaffolding is full of commonly used tools, components. This contract component will automatically parse your ABI and give you a form to interact with it locally. So I think that's pretty cool. So let's click on that and kind of see what's going on here. Okay, so more design stuff, more hooks, address from a different component, and so on. So we've deployed this so we can kind of see everything going on. And let's see, just a moment. Making sure that nobody's talking in the chat. Yeah. Okay, so the main thing here that we're using is this use contract loader. It's actually really neat. Like it says right here, loads your local contracts and gives options to read values from contracts or write transactions into them. So yeah, this contracts component basically is very new, very neat, very easy to use, I think. But and it should give you all sorts of examples for displaying any sort of thing that you might want to do off your contract. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else interesting that I might want to see in here. Okay. No, that's all good there. All right, cool. So let's now, I want to go to ETH hooks. No, that's not it. Okay, we'll go into views next. So this is going to be affecting our homepage, right? So what's cool is, so right here, this is what we see, right? This is what we see on the front end, but this is what it, I guess, looks like on the back end, or not back end, but at least in VS Code, right? So what's cool here is that we can use things that come from that are defined in our app. Find that your local balance. Your local balance is written from here. For example, we use balance here, which is hook. It provides the address of, or sorry, it provides the account information of a specific address or whatever. So if you need to see balances, things like that, you'll see that. And then we use our local provider and an address. Local provider, I feel like that's maybe a whole that could probably use its own hour. But yeah. So again here, we can start editing this. So let's say we want to. Okay, we want to go back to that home. I guess I closed it. Home. Okay, so. Hey, this is Moon Puppy from BuidlGuidl. come join and apply at Miami. Sorry, come join East Miami, and apply at. Second, let me get the link for y'all. So it's like actually there. ETH Miami, Miami.net. So as we can see, we can affect things here, and then they show up on our local host. So the ceiling is really endless, like kind of with what you could do here. I've done a few builds, like we've created I'm helping out with creating a multi-sig. It's kind of like an in-house project in BuidlGuidl. Basically, the idea is that you have multiple people that have control over a contract. And in this contract, you hold things maybe like NFTs or some sort of balance, let's say. But basically, what it requires is maybe like at least two, if not more, people to kind of vote and say, hey, I would like to do this transaction or not. Even if it's not multiple people, it's still potentially a good way to secure some of your funds, because it would require someone to hack, at least figure out the private keys for not just one wallet, but any really, and pretty much any address that's like touched the internet or whatever. I think so. Some of the folks like at Ledger, for example, they say that's kind of like a ticking time bomb, because that's how all these keys kind of work. That people can potentially like brute force certain passwords or whatever. So the more times that you make it that someone has to do that to get your funds, it just makes that problem so much harder. It makes it so much more improbable that you'll ever be hacked in that way or anything like that. So definitely, if anything you get from this, just make sure that you're thinking about how you're storing your funds and things like that, your assets or whatever, because just in this space, it's kind of something that you hear about every day. Hey, I replied to this OpenSea email and I signed a message or whatever, and then 2 months later, you're part of some attack or whatever that basically someone just had like a signed signature from your wallet, and they can kind of do stuff with that. So let's be careful out there. But yeah, so the multi-sig is one popular build that we worked with. Let's kind of show it. Multi-sig.law. And then just Austin, and there's been a couple other homies that have like definitely spearheaded this a bit more. But basically, the idea is that you can create multi-sig. Let's create one. Let's connect. All right. So the idea here is that let's do localhost. Okay. Create Miami example wallet. Let's say. Getting a call. Just a moment. Let's say that we want 2 signatures, and then let's say that we want to. Oh, hold on. Where's my local host at? No. Well, I should actually be able to send it from here, actually. So let's try that. Okay. Maybe we'll get that there. Maybe not. Okay, perfect, cool. So we do have that. Let's create one. Let's call it the ETH Miami. Let's call it the ETH Miami example. And like kind of right off the bat, like let's actually maybe explore some differences between like what this looks like right off the bat and the regular scaffold build. So we can see already kind of like that has like similar kind of typing or whatever. It has similar types of like just all the buttons, right, are like kind of the same. Let's go to dark mode and then we kind of see things a little bit better. We have like these menus that go up and down. We have the ability to import stuff. We have our account here that if we click on, it takes us to Etherscan, the ability to log out. Stuff that's here in the bottom corner, same little buttons here. We have so some things are turned off, some things are turned on, depending on like what we're trying to do here, right? Like so, the idea here at least is that this is a finished product or is to be one, right? So we don't want like some user or anything like that to be, I don't know, like this kind of thing, these kinds of things or whatever here, just maybe not exactly. They're not useful. So why click there? I say all the time. I hate restaurants that have really large menus. I guess it's good for people that are kind of like picky, but don't let me mess up. I think is a good ethos to have. I shouldn't be able to order something randomly off the menu. Just give me what I came here to see, right? So that ETH Miami, we'll call it. We want 2 amounts of signatures. That's going to be the first guy, and then we'll fund it with, say, 5 ETH. Let's see what our stuff's saying to us. This is your best friend, by the way. So what I just did was clicking Inspect Element and go into Console. The number of signatures required is greater than the number of owners. Okay, that's fine. So again, these are sorts of things, whatever that you would then see on the back end and say, hey, if someone tries to create this and XYZ value is greater than A, then spit something back out there. So, it's because of this part right here. Sorry. Owner address, we'll just pick another one on our account. Hey, we like that one. Oh no, frick. Okay, so I think I know what to do here. So we'll just do our different owners there, and then let's go back though. Account, switch to this account. No, still not this one. Flashbot signer. There we go. Okay, cool. So those are the 2 guys that we want to be working in. So we're gonna create again ETH Miami. Add the other guy. And that's okay. But that's good though that happened, because sometimes you don't know exactly what you're clicking on, so create. Cool. So now we're creating our multi-sig. And all these sorts of things, safe like that. That's the coolest thing. This is all open source software, right? So let's say you see something off the multi-sig build right now that looks good, right? Like you like these like modals, or being able to add multiple accounts to potentially some sort of list to be able to name things. You can go onto GitHub right now, and we can actually find what we're talking about. So here, let's do. Oh, this one actually is in a little bit of a different place, but let's see multi-sig. Let's see what we got. Meta multi-sig. Here we go. So this is a version that looks probably somewhat similar to multi-sig law. I think multi-sig law is a lot more polished, but it's somewhere. I'd have to. I'll find it before the end of this. But let's go back. Okay, so should be creating. Not exactly sure what's going on there. Checking one text results. Why is that not going? Huh? Let's try it one more time. ETH Miami. And then let's, I guess, check what's going on with our transactions here. What the heck? Okay. We did 1 then 5. Well, we can at least see that we wanted to send a transaction. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with the build right now, but yeah, this was just to show you kind of some examples or whatever. So we have things like modals available for you to just kind of pick and choose kind of what you may want to see. I think this actually working is probably not going to be nice, but it's not necessarily detrimental to what we're trying to showcase here, right? The idea is that you can build things with the tools that we have here. Okay, cool. So yeah, if you go to multisig.law and click this view code spot, it'll take you right to the repo that we're working with. And oh, perfect. It shows you kind of some examples of stuff that we're working with. Perfect. I think what it is that this is out there. Okay. So we can probably just fork this really quickly. Maybe I'll show you guys how to do that. Okay. So code. So we got to restart a couple things here. Let's just close. Let's just close out all these guys. We'll go to ETH Miami again. We'll go to new terminal folder. Commands plus. And then we want to git clone thing that we just did. MAAS, multisig as a service, right? So now that we've done that, we want to cd mos and then yarn install over here on mos as well. Cool. So we did that. New terminal folder. Command plus. We'll want to nvm use LTS. Yarn. And by the way, you can install the specific version of Node that you plan on using. It's just that I work on like a couple different types of projects all the time that need kind of varying versions of it. So that's kind of why I have it set up like that. Wait, why'd that happen there? Oh, duh, because hard hat command is not there yet. Might have to open this again then. Oh, we've been going for it. I lose count sometimes. Whoa, geez. Sorry, y'all. Here. This will get going in a second. Yeah, I realized what I was trying to doing. Basically running trying to work off localhost probably mean that you are building this locally, not using the site that's out there. So, so that's me knocking on wood. Hopefully, my computer's being nice to me, or the coding gods are. So now we're gonna want a yarn chain. And then we're going to want to let's see, what does it tell us that we want to do? chain, install, yarn start, deploy, backend. Okay, cool. So let's, for this one, npm use LTS yarn start. That'll start us up on our this guy right here. So now we can, now we can go to localhost 3000. It should be up in a second. Next, we're going to want to run our backend so we can see transactions now. Yarn backend. Okay, cool. So we have that. And then we want yarn deploy, I believe. npm use LTS yarn deploy. Cool. We deployed that. So now we should be able to work on everything here. Okay, cool. So this guy, let's cool. Let's grab some funds from the faucet. And let's, oh, okay, cool, perfect. Let's letting us do that now. We want to run it to our regular, hold on, we'll just connect here. We'll send us some ETH, 10 Ether. We should get that in a second. And so then now we want to create something here. So same old. There we go. This is much better now. So for now, we'll just do one. We'll just do one signer, and we'll add a signer halfway through it. Nonce too high. Expected nonce to be 0, but got 2. Okay, that's fine. I know what happened here. Something with my advanced. I have advanced transactions on. So if we edit this, advanced options should let me choose what the nonce is somewhere. Yeah, give me a second. Okay. Settings, advanced. Customize transaction nonce. I guess I have to turn that on. So let's try this one more time. ETH Miami. 1. We'll fund this with 1 Ether. Okay, here. Expected nonce to be 0. Basically, nonce is kind of like transaction ordering on the EVM. And so it expected this to be the first transaction really that we ever run, as opposed to the second one that our wallet's kind of doing, because we were trying to do some of those other transactions. Okay, cool. So now we can see this. We can see a list of previous owners that this might have had. And then basically it'll show us down here kind of things that we're doing, right? So let's first propose a transaction, right? There's a bunch of different things you can do here. So you can send ETH, you can add a signer, remove signer, custom call data. So let's say you have some sort of, let's say you want to connect to, let's say you know how to calculate the call data that you need, and basically you can input that here if you wanted to. That would require kind of maybe some good understanding of the EVM. They're like basically just kind of how it speaks. It's actually not too difficult and really neat. Custom call data, that's probably something you want to get into, like when you're getting into like the MEV game or like putting together packages or whatever, because basically all these front ends, all these apps and things that you use, may have like all sorts of different inefficiencies or whatever. They might have like just non-optimized smart contracts or whatever it may be. And it's possible that you could kind of put things together better than they can, right? And that's all we'll say about that. But so we have here send ether, right? So let's send ether to an account. Let's say I wanted to like initiate some sort of withdrawal, right? So my address is going to be this one right here. I'm just going to put it right back, right? And let's say that we want to do $10, right? So we're at 11,533 US right now. So we'll do $10. We'll propose that transaction. So basically, it kind of tells us, hey, this is the message that we're signing here, and we'll propose that tenderly, probably because I'm running a local host. And then it gives me the option here to potentially sign it, right? So I could sign it and then execute it. So it assumes that the person that's proposing the transaction is like also the signer. So that's why it says 1 out of 1 sign, but we'll get that going in a second. Okay, so we'll confirm it. Our nonce is probably going to be 1 now. Hey, yeah, it was. And let's see what happens. Okay. Cool. So it's sent over. We're at 33. How much were we at? Maybe my math was a little bit off there or whatever. But you can kind of see here. Perfect. Cool. This I think you can see a little bit better. And then it shows you kind of like an event log of like all the things that are going on. Potentially like the pool. Let's say like someone else was trying to transact or do something here or something like that. Okay. So we'll do. Let's see. What is our? We'll keep our contract address here, just handy, just in case we need to import stuff. Miami contract address. And so just a couple things. First off, this multi-sig is a contract, right? It has like very specific instructions of, hey, who can interact with it, who can sign transactions, who can propose transactions, who can execute them. You can play all sorts of places around with that. And so interesting. I guess the price of Ether is moving pretty fast right now. And then let's say we wanted to add a signer, right? I say, hey, you know what? Maybe this isn't so safe. Okay, so let's check a different account really quick. Let's do account 2. Cool. Whoa. Oh, I have my other account that I can just, okay, I know what I can do. Sorry. Hotspot signer. Yeah, we'll go back here. Okay, so let's add that signer, right? Let's add this guy. I think it's, so mine is where I'm operating is that we want that 0x71. And then number of signatures required from now on is going to be 2. So I'm going to need to sign that with both, or else no dice, right? So I'm going to propose that. Okay, next we're going to bop, bop. Okay, cool. So we signed that. Now we have 2 signers, right? So now if we want to like propose some sort of transaction, like let's just do the first transaction that we did. Hey, now we'll do the first transaction that we did. We'll send another $10, right? So I can propose that. Cool. So that's in the pool, right? And let's say I try to execute it. Cool. Yeah, it's telling me that I'm trying to. I don't think I can sign it again, can I? I guess I can. Internal JSON RPC error. Okay, so that's usually your moment to kind of go in and say, okay, so look at this. If we go through and we see this internal JSON RPC error, it tells us insufficient valid signatures. Okay. So that kind of goes along with what we figured might happen. This is 1 out of 2 signatures that are signed, right? So let's try to see if we can go in and sign it from our other side and send that, right? And just as an aside to start, maybe playing around with this like localhost or on a test net, and then graduate to actually putting your funds here if you wanted to. Or there's a million other different not million actually, there's really not many. There's this one, and there's Gnosis actually, so there's not a million. Sorry, that's kind of how I talk. But okay, cool. So we have the ETH. So cool. It's made to show us anything that might be linked or have us listed as a signer on it, right? So here we can see we can now sign it with our second address, and it should populate in a second. All right, there we go. So I could execute it from this wallet. I could execute it from the other wallet that I have. Either way, doesn't really. So this one, is this one going to be 0? Okay, I guess it is. Cool. So now we should have sent another 10, and we'll see. We'll see what happened. Coolio. Cool. So I have indeed received more monies. If this was on a test net, if this was on live like ETH mainnet, then we'd be able to see. Then we'd be able to see kind of who sent what to where and everything like that. But let's say we know that we started this off with about 1282 in here. So it kind of shows us what went on here. So things that you could do with this, you could actually, for example, wallet connect this to Uniswap and initiate some sort of swap from this front end right here. So basically, you'd wallet connect, you'd connect to Uniswap, you'd initiate some sort of swap on their end, and what Uniswap will do, sends that information to the contract. The contract decodes it and says, hey, here's what's going on. Would you like to do this? Same way that we saw it before, like kind of in the transaction pool, like, and just puts up stuff for people to sign stuff. So it's a really neat way of potentially managing your assets. And I think also just really showcases, I think this is like probably one of the most polished builds on Scaffold, besides stuff that people have kind of just done like on their own and like put it out there for folks, like maybe made their own products. But this is probably one of the most polished repos that I've been able to work on. And it's just got like a bunch of different goodies, like all this transfer stuff, decoding like that information is like actually very tedious. So you see a bunch of great examples in there that you can kind of work with. That might be a lot of information, I realize, I think, for folks. And kind of what I want to do to is just say that I think that's probably a decent place to stop. I guess maybe we can go like a little bit more into each folder, each thing, and run down components one by one. But this isn't necessarily this isn't this is the road to ETH Miami, right? So I think that's something we want to talk about. If this is something that interests you, Web3, getting into Web3, networking and things like that, I think that it would really be an awesome experience for you to come to ETH Miami. So I really just want to make sure folks that understand that you could make a lot of really, really powerful, meaningful connections here. Just in this space in general, and Web3 in general, it's a really neat spot that I've been able to that I've really been able to kind of like grow with. And I guess the idea is that everyone eats. I don't know. That's kind of like the ethos that I've gotten from a lot of folks, from a lot of builders, from Austin and Scaffold and stuff like that. He's just like, make cool stuff, be curious. And I found that Web3 is probably one of the things that makes me curious today. I want to keep learning. I'm 20, just turned 29, about to be 30, and I'm still learning. So I'm really grateful to be part of this community. And I just want to kind of extend that to you all. Come to the event, see what you might find. Come say hi, have a beer with me, have a beer with Austin, have a beer with Andre, whoever, everybody. Come hang out. And it's a lot. It seems like so much more than it is as far as like the code stuff. It's like, oh, what is this? Why is my console yelling at me? And so many things. It's, what about this package? What about that package? Node, hard hat, all these buzzwords, all these fun things that you'll be able to learn way more about, and I think it'll be like a very, very enriching experience. So ethmiami.net, ethmiami.net. That's kind of our landing page, and so get over there, apply to hack, and we'll see you out there.